Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 7 articles for you in this episode, and all the URLs are listed in the description of the video for your convenience. The first article that I have for you is off of Liberty Headlines, and it says, Report, Federal Government had Trump under surveillance from 2004 to 2010. Infowars.com has obtained credible information from law enforcement sources regarding individual records of U.S. citizens under National Security Agency, or the NSA, in the years 2004 through 2010, a database that suggests both Donald J. Trump and Alex Jones were under legal unauthorized government monitoring during those years. Michael Zullo, formerly the commander and chief investigator of the Cold Case Posse, called the CCP, a special investigative group created in 2006 in the office of Joseph M. Arapio, formerly the sheriff in Maricopa County, an Arizona state certified law enforcement agency headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, provided sections of the database to Infowars.com. The electronic surveillance database provided to Zillow by a whistleblower in 2013 was apparently created by the NSA as part of the NSA's illegal and unconstitutional Project Dragnet electronic surveillance of U.S. citizens, first revealed, published in 2005, as further documented by the revelations of whistleblower Edward Snowden in 2013. Sheriff Arapio and Chief Investigator Zullo have identified dozens of entries at various addresses, including both Trump Tower in New York City and Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, under which Donald Trump was apparently under NSA electronic surveillance from 2004 during President George W. Bush's term in office through 2009, the first year of President Obama's presidency. The article is off of teaparty.org. And it says, NSA documents prove surveillance of Donald Trump and his family. Bombshell discovery shows targets of NSA's Project Dragnet. Infowars.com has obtained credible information from law enforcement sources regarding individual records of U.S. citizens under National Security Agency NSA electronic surveillance in the years 2004 through 2010, a database that suggests both Donald J. Trump and Alex Jones were under illegal, unauthorized government monitoring during those years. Michael Zullo, formerly the commander and chief investigator of the Cold Case Posse, CCP, a special investigative group created in 2006 in the office of Joseph M. Arapio, formerly the sheriff of Maricopa County in an Arizona state law enforcement agency headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, provided sections of the database to Infowars. And that's, it goes on here pretty much the same thing that I just read, but this one also has the electronic surveillance of Donald Trump was listed in the database for the following companies and locations and dates. It has Trump International in New York City in 2008, Trump World Towers in New York City with no date, Trump Tower SAL in New York City in 2007, Trump Palace Company in New York City in 2008, Trump Entertainment in New York City in 2007, Trump Organization in New York City in 2009, Trump Palace in New York City in 2004, Mar-a-Lago Club in Palm Beach, Florida in 2006, Trump International in Chicago in 2008, Douglas Limousine in Princeton, New Jersey in 2008, Trump International, West Palm Beach, Florida in 2004, Flights Incorporated, Hamilton, Massachusetts in 2004, Trump International in New York City in 2008, Trump Hotels in Atlantic City, no date, Trump National in Briarcliff, New York, no date, C in Atlantic City, New Jersey, 2008, Trump Palace in New York City, 2008, and Seven Springs, Mont Kisco, New York, in 2006 through 2008. While attempts have been made to deny such domestic surveillance, reports from the New York Times in 2014 showed the Central Intelligence Agency had just that by spying on a Senate panel investigating the agency's use of enhanced interrogation. And there's a headline from New York Times here saying, inquiry by CIA affirms it spied on Senate panel. And this was dated 2014. It says in a 2016 article from The Guardian entitled "A Constitutional Crisis, the CIA Turns on the Senate," it is likewise noted just how drastic and widespread the CIA's domestic surveillance operation was. It says, constitutional crisis, CIA turns on the Senate. Tensions flare between the CIA and the Senate in the fight to release the report on torture, leading the agency to spy on its own legislative overseers, supporting the Guardian fearless journalism by making a contribution. The article continues. It says, as revealed from the Dragnet database, not only was Trump himself surveilled, but so were numerous employees of his located at Trump Tower. Former CIA officer Larry Johnson recently joined the Alex Jones show to discuss how intelligence sources have stated that such surveillance of Trump during the presidential election in fact took place. And there's a copy of the New York Times dated January 20th of 2017 with the article circled here saying wiretap data used inquiry of Trump's aides. And the article goes on. It says, here's a partial list of Trump's employees that show up in the Project Dragnet database. Patricia Hernandez, manager of Trump Organization, was under NSA electronic surveillance at Trump Park, Central Park South in New York City. And it gives part of the phone number. And the date is September the 16th of 2008. Mike Vondergoes, a golf pro at Ocean Trails Golf Course in Palos Verdes, who was promoted to be general manager when Trump bought the course from the bank in 2005 and renamed it Trump National. Mike Vandergoes was under surveillance at Trump National One Ocean Trail, Rancho Palos Verdes, California, and gives part of the phone number, no date. Carolyn Kepcher, a frequent guest on NBC's television program The Apprentice, was under NSA electronic surveillance when she was general manager at Trump National Golf Course in Briarcliff, New York, in Westchester County, north of New York City, at 339 Pine Road in Briarcliff, New York. And part of the phone number, this was September 7th of 2006. Joe Tracy, a real estate property manager at Trump New York World Property Management, and it gives the address in New York City. Part of the phone number, date is 11/12/08, and another address, New York City. Part of the phone number, no date. Roger Socio, a senior project manager, Trump Organization, Trump Tower in New York City. Number 2/23 of 2009. Bill Fisher, residence manager, Trump Organization, Trump Palace in New York City. This was February 24th, 2009. Florin Bogsell, Trump Park Avenue in New York City. No date. Grace Dune, Trump Park resident. And this is in New York. January 26th of 2006. Greg Bradley, Vice President, Trump Pavilion for Nursing and Rehabilitation. And this is in New York. No date. All these employees appear to have been under NSA phone surveillance, plus various of them under financial. The Project Dragnet database suggests Trump was under surveillance not only for phone conversations, but also for financial information, including most likely bank account transactions, credit card transactions, and tax filings. Both federal and state law enforcement have had access to Project Dragnet database, allowing widespread use for methods such as parallel. In 2013 Rutgers article, U.S. directs agents to cover up program used to investigate Americans, reveals the breadth and information that trickles down to law enforcement from high-level intelligence agencies. The NSA surveillance in the period from 2004 to 2010 was Trump's former wife, Ivanka Trump, in New York City. The Project Dragnet database also indicates that the NSA was conducting electronic surveillance on an extensive list of Trump employees in the years 2004 through 2010, the only years for which Sheriff Arapio had data. Alex Jones is listed as being under electronic surveillance for phone records as well as under surveillance for financial records in 2006. The address listed for Alex Jones in the NSA Project Dragnet database was correct for his residence at that time, so too Alex Jones confirmed the phone number listed was also correct. Sheriff Arapio and Chief Investigator Zullo have validated through law enforcement channels the validity of the name, address, and telephone numbers for the dates that appear in the Project Dragnet database. Sheriff Arapio and Chief Investigator Zullo are prepared to share relevant information with appropriate federal law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, as well as the Department of Justice, Homeland Security Department, and members of Congress, and the Project Dragnet database in whole as it pertains to NSA electronic surveillance of Donald J. Trump and his various employees. And Chief Investigator Zullo also show up in the database, listed as being under phone and financial surveillance. Zullo explained that he and Arapio came in contact with this information from Operation Dragnet during an unrelated investigation that began in October of 2013 and ended January 2015. A whistleblower by the name of Dennis Montgomery brought forward information that Montgomery alleges was collected while he was employed as a subcontractor for the NSA working on various surveillance projects. Court documents do verify Montgomery was contracted by the NSA in part to develop computer breaching software that has been utilized in government mass surveillance operations targeting American citizens without legal justification. While Montgomery's credibility has been called into question, Zullo maintains that amount of information provided by Montgomery related to Operation Dragnet was extraordinarily voluminous, and that Montgomery had shared information with investigators in 2013 that is only now being revealed by media outlets. The next information we have here is off the Conservative Tribune. It says, House Intel Chair drops bombshell on Obama of Trump-Russian collusion. The Intelligence Committee has made a bombshell statement about Democratic allegations of Russian tampering with the presidential election to help Donald Trump, and it's exactly what liberals don't want to hear. In an interview in the Capitol, excerpted on Fox and Friends last week, Representative Devin Nunes, Republican of California, stated that there is currently no evidence of collusion between the Kremlin and the Trump campaign. This is a huge blow to the liberals who have made it their agenda to try to prove Trump needed Russian help to win American presidency, and the fact that Trump won because he was elected by the people. The best part about Nunes' statement is that Trey Gowdy, the Bulldog Republican from South Carolina, agrees with him. And there is some video here called Trey Gowdy on Fox and Friends if you want to check that out. The article continues. It says, I think Chairman Nunes put his finger on it twice. In the clip you just played, it's the word evidence that said Gowdy, a career federal prosecutor. I come from a background that is evidence-centric. I'm not interested in summaries. I can't deal with anonymous sources. I need witnesses. I need facts. I need evidence. He went on to state later that focus needs to be put less on witch hunt for which exists and more on the fact that a small universe of people are leaking classified information and further threatening American national security. It's a small universe of people who would have access to the underlying conversations, any summaries, and then what ultimately ended up in Washington Post, Gowdy said. You're not talking about 300 million people. You might be talking about 30. So you need to find those 30 and apply whatever pressure is necessary from a legal standpoint through your investigation, because leaks are going to destroy these programs. Lovers can continue to spew stories from anonymous sources, but nothing is going to change the fact that the House Intelligence Committee is still going to operate within the perimeters of verifiable evidence. Don't expect to hear this on mainstream media. BizPac Review. And it says, while Dems were busy grandstanding, Gowdy got right down to business with Comey. Representative Trey Gowdy questioned FBI Director James Comey Monday during a House Intelligence Committee hearing about leaks of classified information to the media. In reference to the taped call between Trump's former national security advisor Michael Flynn and the Russian ambassador, the South Carolina lawmaker grilled Comey about a U.S. citizen when collecting intelligence. Gowdy would later point out that making a person's identity publicly known when protected by law is a felony punishable years in prison. He asked how many people are able to unmask a person and what other agencies have the authority to do so. Besides the FBI, Comey named NSA, CIA, and the Justice Department. He also said the White House can request the agency collecting the intelligence to unmask a person, but said they can't do it on their own. Gowdy named a number of people from the Obama administration, to include former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Loretta Lynch, and then Acting Attorney General Sally Yates, all of whom Comey confirmed would likely have had access to the name of an unmasked U.S. citizen. He asked Comey if he briefed former President Barack Obama on any calls involving Flynn, but the director would not comment on his conversation with Obama. Gowdy proceeded with the precision of a surgeon in discussing nefarious motives for leaking Flynn's name, none of which reflected well on the last administration. Regardless, Comey would not confirm whether an investigation into who unmasked Flynn is underway, although he confirmed earlier the Bureau is investigating Trump campaign ties to Russia. The next article is off BizPac Review, and it says, FBI Director Comey to shake up Capitol Hill, what to expect from Monday's testimony to Congress. All eyes will be on FBI Director James Comey on Monday when he testifies before Congress about alleged Russian interference with the election. The hearing will put Comey under scrutiny of Schiff, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, and the committee's Republican chairman, Senator Devin Nunes. Anti-Trumper Schiff is desperately hoping Comey will support his unsubstantiated accusations that President Trump's camp had colluded with Russians to influence the 2016 presidential election. To be clear, even anti-Trumpers agree that the outcome of the election was not influenced by the alleged interference because no voting machines were compromised. Comey has been uncharacteristically quiet about the investigation, and it's unclear how much he can disclose at his congressional hearing, given the classified nature of the FBI probes. While Schiff has repeatedly bleated that he believes there was collusion between the Russians and the Trump camp, Senator Nunes repeated what most lawmakers have stated: there is no evidence of collusion, Nunes told Fox News on Sunday. By the same token, Nunes shot down President Trump's claim that former President Obama had wiretapped Trump Tower. There is a physical wiretap of Trump Tower? No, Nunes said. There was no FISA warrant that I'm aware of to tap Trump Tower. But investigative journalist Cheryl Atkinson, who says Trump had spied on her when she was a reporter at CBS News, said intelligence sources told her that the president can wiretap anyone he wants without a warrant. The White House stands by President Trump's claim that said forthcoming evidence will back him up. Senator Nunes said he's more concerned about the illegal press leaks by the White House and the intelligence community from the Obama holdovers who want to undermine Trump. The one crime that we know has been committed is the leaks of someone's name through FISA system, Nunes said, referring to the leak regarding fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Senator Rand Paul is also alarmed by the intelligence community leaking information to press because it endangers national security. It is very, very important that whoever released that go to jail, Paul told ABC News, because you cannot have members of the intelligence community listening to the most private and highly classified information and then releasing that to the New York Times. President Trump agreed that leakers must be identified and punished. The next article is off of the lastgreatstand.com, and it says, Russia exposes far left's lunacy and their diabolical scheme to frame Trump. In an era of diminished attention spans, sound bites, and clickbait, it is with little surprise that innocuous, boring, and routine information to appear as more than it actually is. Out of context exaggerations, basically, and that's exactly the basis for the whole Russian conspiracy allegations. However, one recent example has emerged showing that if innocuous information cannot be exaggerated, then it can be completely manufactured. In the following video, Right-Wing News looks at the left's proof that Trump campaign was colluding with Russian bank. Their proof, of course, was simple email correspondence between the two parties. And now explosive evidence has emerged showing that the communication was the result of a hacker manufacturing evidence of the illusion of contact. This is another level of deception, from malicious mischaracterization to willful fabrication of evidence. The video also draws on a great deal of information provided in previous articles that cover Barack Obama's openly seditious behavior since leaving office and his army of loyalists within the deep state. We already know from the recent publication of WikiLeaks Vault 7, the largest collection of classified CIA documents in history, that it wasn't the Russians that were hacking anything. It was our own CIA trying to appear as if they were the Russians. At this point, the deep state is pulling out all the stops to take down Trump. But what will they do next? Ultimately, if something isn't done to avert the course of the country it is currently on right now, Right-Wing News explains what steps the government has already put into place should it need to restore order. And there is this video called Russia Exposes Far Left's Lunacy and Their Diabolical Scheme to Frame Trump. So if you want to see that, you can pull that up and take a look at it. The article continues. It says, the deep state and the press continue to attempt to paint President Trump as a Russian agent, but new information reveals he was framed. Liberal news outlets Slate and the failing New York Times reported late last year that one of Donald Trump's email servers was secretly communicating with Alpha Bank, a private Russian bank. After investigating the claims, the bank says the contact was the result of a hacker stating the cyber attacks are an attempt by unknown parties to manufacture the illusion of contact. And that's by CNN. All of these supposed Russian connections seem to follow a similar and sinister trend that may indicate that a deep state or other similar forces are orchestrating a coordinated attack against President Trump. Once they obtain the information, journalists will lie and twist the innocuous data to frame Trump as a Russian agent. We saw this happen when Michael Flynn was forced to resign. An anonymous insider leaked information that Flynn had communicated with Russia. This was, of course, innocent and a part of his job, but the press lied and pushed for his resignation. In that post, information was revealed about CIA program known as Umbrage. Umbrage is a CIA handcrafted hacking technique pose a problem for the agency. Each technique it has created forms a fingerprint that can be used by forensic investigators to attribute multiple different attacks to the same entity. The CIA's Remote Devices Branch, Umbrage Group, collects and maintains a substantial library of attack techniques stolen from malware produced in other states, including the Russian Federation. The Umbrage and related projects, the CIA cannot only increase its total number of attack types, but also misdirect attribution by leaving behind the fingerprints of the groups that attack the techniques were stolen from. Now, this scandal that accuses President Trump of secret communications with Russian agents follows the exact same trend, and it is equally, if not more, absurd. An anonymous source with no connections to any organization who goes by the moniker Tea Leaves secretly released DNS logs to the press that show that the email account mail1.trumps-email.com was receiving queries from the Russian bank. These queries are not nefarious and they do not prove communication. Yet upon receiving the information, liberal journalists use this as proof that Trump is secretly a Russian agent. But like most of the supposed Trump scandals, there is nothing here. This was all based on DNS logs, which are equivalent to looking up a phone number in a phone book. Looking up a number does not mean you have actually called someone, even if you look that number up 1,000 times. Not only is there no proof of communication, but the email server in question does not belong to President Trump. Instead, it's owned and operated by the advertising agency Sigyn, who is contracted by Trump hotels to advertise their services. The DNS queries are most likely the result of a spam blocker that decided to block these advertisements. So again, an anonymous source leaked a non-story to the press. Yet, like a pack of hungry dogs, the press pounced and claimed that this was proof that Trump and Putin are in cahoots. When Tea Leaves revealed the story, he left out an example of some of the emails sent by the email server, and, of course, it is just an ad offering a discount to stay at Trump Hotel. After the information was reported by the press, hackers started to attack the bank and email server to make it appear that there is ongoing communications between President Trump and Russia. Alpha Bank claims that hackers have manufactured this deceit by spoofing or falsifying DNS lookups to create the impression of communication between Alpha Bank and the Trump Organization. Something strange is occurring as numerous anonymous sources are coming out to reveal scandals that are based on nothing. This appears to be a coordinated attempt to destroy President Trump from the inside, but we the people will not be fooled. And this goes on. If you want to read the rest of it, it's rather lengthy, but I think we've gotten the basic point here. But if you're really interested in this, you can pull that article up and take a look at the rest of it. The next one and final one in this episode is off of BizPack Review. It says, Secret Service agent who wouldn't take a bullet for Trump is removed, but some are not happy. The Secret Service agent who claimed that she would refuse to take a bullet for President Donald Trump got her wish. She won't have to. But other agents fear that she'll still maintain a federal government job. Carrie O'Grady, the special agent in charge of Secret Service Denver District, said that she would sooner face jail time than lay down her life for the commander-in-chief. Grady was placed on administrative leave late in January, and approximately 2 weeks ago, her position at the Denver District top agent was placed on a list of agency openings, according to reports two agents gave to Washington Examiner. While the agency looks into her Facebook comments, she has been placed on administrative leave. Meanwhile, other service agents, both former and present, believe O'Grady should lose her employment altogether and fear that she may be allowed to serve her time until retirement at another position. They would rather see her fired outright, and there is a precedent for that, the Examiner reported. In February of 2015, Secret Service Deputy Director Alvin A.T. Smith was forced to resign when the agency was under pressure from Congress after a string of security lapses. He was allowed to transfer to another position in DHS, according to an email that praised his 29 years of service to the agency sent to all staff. Their concerns have some weight, given that Secret Service brass were informed as early as October about O'Grady's questionable Facebook comments, but did nothing at the time. Other agents fear that the agency hierarchy are shielding her from reprisal. Her Facebook comments were made about a month before the election, and she claimed her reversal to adequately protect Trump was based on her belief that he was a disaster for the country. A whistleblower informed the agency of the comments, but nothing was done until they were widely published shortly after Trump's inauguration. She informed the Examiner that she deleted her Facebook comment and professed that she would serve Trump. However, her actions speak louder than her words. When Trump was inaugurated, she changed her profile photo to a depiction of Star Wars Princess Leia with the inscription, "A woman's place is in the resistance." When folks on social media got the news she was removed, they asked why she wasn't removed sooner. And there's a list of tweets basically saying that. One says, DC Examiner, for me, change, remove, dump all Secret Service agents right away, specifically at the top level. There's a bunch of them there if you want to pull them up and read those. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to enjoy the news. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And that way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.